Hi everyone, I'm here with Travis. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Very good. I'm here at GAMA 2020. This is my first time for GAMA, and I'm very excited to show you this prototype game, Ruination.
Yeah, this is my newest game. I've been working on this for the last couple years, and the game is today is Tuesday, and the game launches on Thursday on Kickstarter. So I'm super excited. I've been showing it off here at the show and promoting it, and really excited to tell you a little bit more.
I'm so excited too. Okay, let's get to the table, and then Travis can show you a little bit more about the game. So we are looking at the lovely looking board. This is like size, I think. So tell us about it.
So this is, at its heart, it's an area control game or a dudes on a map game. So you're going to be fighting over these territories. The game is set in like what I call the post-apocalypse. So it's think Mad, as an Australian, think Mad Max,
Yes.
but after all the gasoline runs out. So the game actually takes place not in Australia, but it takes place in Eurasia. So kind of like Mongolia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, those types of areas. So it's got a heavy influence from that part of the world. I think that's an interesting part of the world in the theme.
Yep.
But the main driver of the game are these 3 decks of cards up here that are face up. And on your turn, you're simply going to choose an action. You're going to either scavenge for resources, you're going to move your armies, or you're going to recruit more units to your armies. That's what you do. It's that simple. But what's interesting is when you choose the action, you get to gain any favor or glory, that's these little banners here, and use the bonus and take the action in the order of your choice.
Right.
So you can set up these extremely big combos. And the turns move really quick, and then you have these big combo moments. What players are going to be doing is they're going to be gathering these resources, and they're going to be using those resources to buy these advantage cards.
Yeah.
So there's almost like a Civ type element to them. These cards are similar, I would say, to something like the power tiles in Kemet, except they're a little more. There's a little bit more to them. So they'll give you a passive ability, kind of like in Kemet. But they also give you an ability in combat when you use your dice, and I'll talk about that in a second, so that you can actually create really interesting combinations of effects, and you can tailor your empire. And every one of these cards are unique, so if you get a card, no one else will have that card. Then you can also buy these exiles. These are the special units, or if you're a fan of games like Blood Rage or Rising Sun, these are the equivalent of the monsters. These guys all have a strength. They contribute dice in battles, and then they have these immediate come into play effects. And then, of course, the miniatures are pretty awesome. So we have a bunch of little. This is like my love letter to Master Blaster from Thunderdome.
Awesome.
This is my love letter to Princess Mononoke. These are the special units. Then you have your basic units.
Yes.
So when you scavenge resources, it's going to be pretty simple. You're going to either pick one territory, and you're going to gain resources equal to the guys that are there of that type. We have 4 resource types, and then there's this center territory that is a little more powerful.
Can I quickly ask, what are the main mechanics of the game?
So the main mechanics is action selection.
Right.
And then there's going to be conflict, so fighting with dice. And there's, I guess you could say, engine building or civilization building, because you're going to tailor your empire.
Yeah, I love that with engine building.
Yeah.
A little bit of it.
So what you gather these resources, and you can buy these things, and all the actions essentially have 2 ways, a few ways you can do them. So if you scavenge, you could gain resources equal to the number of guys in a territory, or you could gain 1 resource from every territory where you have at least 1 guy. So you can get a diversity there. If you move your units, you're either going to pick an area, and you're going to say, I'm moving from this area to any adjacent area, or you can pick a territory and say, I'm moving all of my guys to this area. So like you could move these guys and these guys to this territory if you wanted to. So it's kind of explode out, implode in. What's interesting about this board is that when you move this right here, this territory is adjacent to this territory, this territory, this territory, this, and this. And you simply, when you move, if you cross this wasteland area, you have to kill a unit or you have to pay a resource. It's like a tax to move. So it's got this extremely tight board where there's a lot of potential for conflict. So fights happen very regularly, but you can bounce back from them quickly. And I'll talk about the combat in a minute. The last thing is that you can recruit units. And when you recruit units, you have these 3 different unit types that are basic. You have your basic grunt. He's just a 1 strength guy. You have this guy. He's a 2 strength guy. but he costs 2. This guy costs 1. This guy costs 2, and he's your raider. He only has 1 strength, but he kills a unit at the end of every fight. So that way you have the ability to whittle down your forces. So if someone has a really big army that's hard to beat and it's full of these exiles, you can actually kind of diminish their forces and weaken them. So when you recruit, you pick an area where you have guys and you can spend 3 points. So with 3 points, I could get 3 of these little guys, or with 3 points, I could get this combination or this combination. And then afterward, if you have any resources, you can recruit an exile to your army. Now, what I think is one of the most interesting things in this game is there are 2 things. There are these 2 tracks up here. There's favor and there's glory, and they're on these cards. Most of the scavenge cards are geared toward favor. Most of the recruit cards are geared toward glory, and then the move cards you can pick favor or glory. So you have a combination. When you go up the favor track, you can get victory points, and as you cross these margins up here, you'll put additional bastions in play, and bastions are simply like fortified areas that are worth more victory points. You also can get victory points. The first person who crosses these margins will be the ones who put that out. Yeah. When you're in a fight, if you have more favor than your opponent, you get to roll this special favor die in addition to all your other dice.
Right.
So this will give you extra resources, these reroll tokens or victory points. So that's the interesting thing here. So you can be in a fight and only have 1 unit. Someone could come in and fight you. If you have more favor, you're going to get to roll this die and get a lot of extra bonuses. The glory track is a little different in that it just gives you more units. It lets you get a lot of free recruit actions and set up for combos, and it'll let you score points for having bastions. So those are the 2 tracks, and you're going to be moving up those, and you can go up both tracks. You could choose to go up more one than the other. It just depends on what you want. If you go over here, these are the player boards. Let me just kind of make some assumptions over here. Let's just say that this is a player board. You track your resources on here. If you ever get an excess of resources, you get victory points and some bonuses, but you'll put your advantage cards, the cards that you buy, onto this little player board. When we go to fight, what we care about is we look at how many different types of units we have. So over here we have the blue players' armies, and there are the 3 basic unit types, the raiders, the grunts, and the brutes. If you have one of these guys, it's a 4th unit type. You'll roll dice equal to the different unit types, plus any dice on the card of the exile. So in this fight, I would roll 5 dice. If I was the most favored player, I would roll another die. We're going to roll the dice. The other player will calculate there. We'll calculate our initial strength over here and any casualties we will deal from these characters. And then we roll dice. From there, we go back and forth taking activations. So I can say, for example, with this, I could say, I'll take this and I'll just gain a resource. Then it's my opponent's turn. They would then activate some abilities. Yep. Everybody has these basic abilities on their board, and there's some slight differences here. So for example, the blue player's board, everyone else's board says gain 1 favor or glory. His thing says gain 1 favor and 1 glory. So you move up both tracks at the same time. But what's cool is if I put this here, I would gain 1 favor and 1 glory and the ability that's on the card, the red text. So I would gain actually a victory point. If I put this card here instead, I would gain a favor and a glory, and I would kill an extra unit at the end of the fight. So you get this kind of combo building on top of the fact that you get extra abilities from these actual cards themselves. So they're like a multi-layered card. You're going to go back and forth, and you're going to do that until everybody passes, till the 2 players pass. The player with the most strength is going to get the victory points equal to the opposing units that they beat. The thing that's nice about that is that if in this scenario where this player is attacking with 4 people and he's beating up only 1, he's only going to get 1 victory point because he fought a fight that was easy to win. Yeah. If you want to, that encourages you to get into bigger fights instead of picking on people, so people can spread out a little more and there's less of a penalty. But what's interesting here is if this guy, let's say he was favored, he would get to roll a die. He would get to roll 1 die for his unit. He would get to roll this die, and he would get to use any other abilities he had on his cards. And let's just say, for example, he rolled this. He would get to get these blessing tokens, which allow you to do rerolls, and then he would get this star, and then he could go to his player board, put this here, and do things like kill an extra unit. So even though he's going to lose the battle, he's going to advance getting more of these tokens for a future fight. He's going to kill off more units even though he's losing the fight. So there's always a reason to be in a fight. There's always something positive. Even if you're in a battle that you can't win, there's always an opportunity for you to do something that's useful and helpful in the game. And that's one thing that's really important to me in this game, is that you have these really big combo moments where you'll take a card, you'll move up a track, you'll put up a lot of guys out into play, then you'll gain more resources because you put more guys into play, which lets you buy a more expensive card, and you'll put that down, it'll let you do something else, and you'll have these really cool combo moments. And those moments usually only take about a minute or 2 minutes to process. So the game moves very quickly. It's about 30 minutes per player.
Okay, so there's not a lot of downtime by.
There's like no
sound of it?
downtime.
Okay.
There's no downtime.
That's good.
And especially because the game encourages you so much to fight with other players, that means that the conflict is there, and you get to do the most fun part of the game, which is rolling the dice and using your powers and your abilities. That's the most rewarding thing. So since the game has a tight map where it's easy to get around, to get into fights, and because the fights happen so often, that means that you're going to have a lot of that tension.
And that's a good thing about it as well. If there's no downtime, has high interaction. So if you like that sort of thing and a lot of battles, and it's not too bad, you get benefit when you lose, then that would be the game for you.
Well, I was playing I was playing last night with Mark Street and Corey Thompson from Dice Tower.
Yep.
And Mark got wiped out on the board. He only had 2 guys. On his next turn, he went up here, and he ended up putting 3 extra units out. He got a card that let him get 3 extra units, and then he went from having 2 characters to 9 characters on one turn, and was instantly back in the game.
Yeah.
And that's very common in this game. So I've seen players get wiped off the board and still come back and win the game. So the game is very forgiving, even though it's set in a post-apocalyptic world where it's harsh. It's very forgiving. There's lots of layered benefits and rewards and a lot of positive player experience that happens in the game, even though there is conflict, even though there's die rolling. Even with the dice, we have these tokens. You spend 1 of these, you can reroll 1 of your dice. You spend 2 of these, you can reroll any number of your dice. You spend 3 of these, you can choose what's on your die.
Oh, okay.
So
a lot of mitigation as well.
Yeah, so it gives you the ability to control. And if you do roll a blank, any blanks you roll at the end of a fight, you get 1 of these tokens at the end of the fight.
That's
so
good,
even if you have a bad roll,
yeah,
you'll get rewarded for it. So it'll help you to have a better roll in the next fight.
That's really good. That's kind of like what you want in modern sort of gaming. Kind of like something that still rewards you, not too punishing on what you actually.
This game is a love letter to games like Kemet and Scythe and Blood Rage and Rising Sun. So it is a Cyclades. I would say it is that type of a game. But I try to kind of create more positive experience than maybe some of those games, but allowing you to kind of bounce back quicker, have lots of options, but still the game is very quick and simple. It's not a overly complicated. It does take about 30 minutes per player, but I think on the whole, for an area control game where you can kind of build out your empire and do all these different things, that's pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Travis.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see it out on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I'll once I get home, I'll put a link to the Kickstarter as well once I've uploaded the video.
Yeah,
Thanks for your time.
I appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you.